Okay, Adam. So I'd like to know your journey, because we've known each other for 2 years, and obviously we met on Facebook. I didn't know you from Adam.
Boom, boom.
But I've never really known your journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
The journey. Well, where does it? It's always easy to see the journey when you look back on it.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And when I think like that, I think, where am I going to be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? I've got no idea.
No.
I suppose I'm like everybody else in the sense that we're all growing.
Yeah.
But I would suggest that I've probably been more intentional about my growth than most people. And I don't know why that started or how that started. But my journey, I haven't kind of arrived at this place of, people tend to say, I'm reasonably confident and reasonably articulate, and I'm kind of well read on quite a few subjects. I've got quite a lot of skills in different things, and it feels arrogant to say that, but there is evidence to say that I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
So, being a bit of a big head here, but at the same time, people do pay me a lot of money to go and do this stuff, so therefore I must be relatively good at it. I wasn't born like I am now. I've had to grow physically and metaphorically in many, many different ways, and I'm reasonably confident at what I can do.
Yeah.
And you probably noticed my body language is quite open and quite confident. I wasn't born like this.
No.
I've had to grow and develop into a sense of self-assuredness, but not a sense of arrogance. If I don't know something, I'll put my hand up and say, don't understand. I'm quite happy to be the thick person in the room, because it's good to be, acknowledge where your knowledge limits are. I kind of look back at my life and realise that on many occasions in my life I have had anxiety or depression or a sense of lack of self-worth, because I have lacked the skills at that time. You spoke earlier on about some of the kids getting tearful going into first races and first events. And that's really interesting, because it immediately brought back something that I've forgotten all about. When I was a child, I used to swim competitively to a very high standard. I was swimming 5 or 6 times a week, so I was like kind of going into national championships. And I remember going to the first competition and having an absolute meltdown because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was just completely terrified. So I kind of look back at that and go, there I go, I survived that. And I've been through the controlling, abusive relationships that have kept me small and kept me hidden and kind of stifled me. And then people who have, I've been very, very fortunate that people who have identified, I've got an aptitude for something, or I've got a passion for something, have given me the shove that I needed. And I did need a shove. I definitely needed someone who cared for me professionally and personally to go, get over there, get on with it. My favourite was my mentor, who sadly passed away a good few years ago now. But I passed a very high qualification in the outdoor world, and I could go anywhere and do anything with that particular qualification. And he once said to me, I need you to go over to Ireland and work over there for me. And I had a little panic about it. Like, I was 29 years old, 30 years old. So I'm not talking like a little boy here, I was an adult. And I had a little panic about it, and I made every reason not to go. And he found out the only reason I wasn't going is because he wanted me to work over in Ireland for him for about 8 to 10 days. And the reason I wasn't going to go was because I'd got 1 day's booked work with an organisation within the Peak District. And he went, so you're not going to work the 8 to 10 days for me because you've got 1 day at this particular organisation? I was like, yes, because I'm honourable and I've booked it. And it was basically, he just called me out and went, bullshit. You're just terrified. So he said, so who are you working for? And I went, oh, it's organisation X. And okay, and so we actually sat in the office. This is before mobile phones, and he punched the organisation, rang up, said, "Hi, Adam's working for you on this day. Would you mind if I poach him off you? Yeah, it's a really important job. No, you wouldn't mind. That's great. Thanks a lot. Click. Put the phone down." And he looked at me with a smile to say, "Now what are you going to do?" Like, shit.
So you had to go and do it.
And exactly. Somebody just took the safety net away and said, "Now get on it. Put your big boy pants on." And before I knew it, I was on a plane. So I can look at some of these steps in life where I've been cajoled, pushed, nudged, supported, had my hand held to get to a place of capability. And that's not the confidence. Get to this point of capability. And then I had to kind of self-reference that capability and go, okay, I'm capable because I've done that,
Yeah.
therefore confidence can come in.
Yeah, yeah. You build that confidence.
I got another kind of example was I went to an organisation to lead expeditions for them, and I didn't think I was good enough to do the big expeditions. And I thought, I'll do the little ones.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, you can't come in because all the little ones are done.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, bugger.
Yeah.
And they rang me up 3 days later and said, can you come in and do some of the big expedition training for us? I mean, you what?
Yeah.
Well, we want you to train some of the leaders in the big expeditions because you've got the qualifications to do it. I didn't think I was good enough, and they said I was good enough to train people
them.
to do that.
Right,
That kind of just blew my head.
Yeah, right.
So sometimes we need people to give us that kind of little slap and say, get yourself together, you're absolutely fine.
That's a bit like the imposter syndrome, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the
yeah.
imposter syndrome, so that imposter's telling you that you're not good enough and you can't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a really good quote about imposter syndrome. People who generally are imposters never have imposter syndrome.
No.
That was like, if you've got imposter syndrome, yes, well, you're probably in the right place then, because usually imposters don't ever think like that.
No.
It was really
That's
cool.
interesting. That's interesting. Yeah.
So people tend to go, oh, you're really good X,
Yeah.
you're really confident X, you're really capable X. But I wasn't.
No.
I've had to learn, I've had to develop, and I had to get really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm 48 now, and I still get regular invites to do things that make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up and think, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm operating at the absolute end of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
So-
you have had some amazing things.
I've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate. Intellectually, I've been stretched.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I've been stretched.
Yeah.
So the mistake a lot of people do is they look at. I'm going to put myself in the category of high-end performer because I tend to work at quite high end.
Yeah.
But we do that. We look at high-end performers and we go, it's okay for them because they can do it.
Yeah.
Please remember that all of those high-end performers have had to take incremental steps.
To get
They've had
there.
to train, they've had to get off the bench, they've had to get into the game,
Yeah.
they've had to develop themselves. And it's only by making lots of mistakes that you actually get good.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no shortcut to being good,
No.
which is really upsetting for me to see on a lot of social media at the moment, because there are so many people offering you quick solutions to things.
Yeah.
Earn 10 figures and become an amazing this in a weekend. It's like, if it was that
If it was
fucking
that easy, that's it. That's it.
Oh, it is. No, it isn't. It's so they can make money out of you.
Yeah.
So my journey has been from a place of being quite shy, quite avoidant, quite fearful of different situations, to being basically put into situations that have stretched me and forced me to go.
Yeah.
And my passion for my development has always been grown with that.
Yeah.
And what I've always noticed with that, my passion to see other people develop is always there.
And I think once you've been in that journey yourself, you do get that passion that you get, and your passion stroke frustration when you see other people who are struggling with it and who are stuck. And I think you can see that somebody needs that help and that support, whatever, but they've got to want to do it. But that's where our frustration, and I think that's why I've gone into the coaching, because I do want to see people flourish, or whatever you want to call it, and transform their lives, but by taking the actions and doing. And I think that's why me and you sort of get on and we have a talk when we're talking, because it always seems that we're always...
I think it comes from the sporting background.
Yeah,
I think it's from the sporting background to recognise that if you want to get comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You cannot develop by being comfortable. It doesn't happen.
No.
And someone can't take a bunch of skills and they can't just put it in your head. I can't take confidence and give you confidence. I can't take self-esteem and give you self-esteem. But what I can do is put you into situations where you can develop competence and capability and accept the consequences and deal with those consequences. That will then help the confidence grow. And that's when the self-esteem can stand up and go, actually, I can get my shit together.
But it's making sure you get the right kind of support to do it, because if you don't have the right kind of support and then something isn't right, then that confidence, it could have a knock-on, it could have a detrimental effect effectively. So
absolutely,
it's about making sure you pick the right people around you to support you on it, really.
And that's the name of the game. So in short, I have gone through my journey of unconfidence, lack of self-esteem, anxiety. I can list the amount of situations that I found terrifying really quite easily. And I've worked through all of those. And now I've got to a point where if somebody said to me, Adam, you're flying out to Bangkok tomorrow to go and do something, I'd be like, okay, no probs.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm going to be knackered after that flight. I better go and put some, really nice clothes in. The ability to do things just goes up and up and up and up.
That sounds good.
But it's incremental learning.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your story, love.
Always.